be warned, this ain't for the faint-hearted. Okay guys, just wanted to share with you this old school 4V Cleveland build that then became somewhat of an iconic drag car in the scene of the mid to late 2000s, but we'll get to that in a moment. Rob Campese in his Ford Cortina, powered by a 4V headed 374 cubic inch Cleveland, back in the late 90s to early 2000s this is. It's another typical but badass Cleveland build on the streets of Sydney down under back then. An offset ground crank, now having 374 naturally aspirated cubic inches, built by Steve at SJT Performance. It's running 6-inch Eagle steel rods, JE forged pistons, a custom ground Wayne Jones solid cam, ported set of large port 4V heads, filled with all the gear from Iskian Manly components. It runs a 4V active single plane tall intake to suit and a modified 750 double pumper Holly that then flowed 1,000 plus CFM. All this said and done, pumping out 540 horsepower and 471 foot-pound of torque, all on pump gas back then, and running a best ET of 10.6 in the quarter, which is pretty impressive and stout. Now, where this car went from the usual Cleveland powered build that was in the thousands around the land of Oz at the time to a full game changer type of a deal is when it was in the hands of my man Bill of BK Race Engines. So now this is like the mid to late 2000s, and BWARND is now a back half car, pre-street style of car with an all new at the time CHI headed aftermarket 400 cubic inch small block Ford build, now being a twin turbo deal. I say iconic because at the time, 20 years ago, twin turbo stuff around here was pretty new and unorthodox as far as someone really being on top of their game and actually achieving serious ET time slips. But being under the banner of BK Race Engines, rest assured, it did just that. Being one of the first, alongside with Steve Athens, I should say, in his twin turbo drag car back then, BWARND sure did set the pathway for many hairdryer lovers to follow after and, to follow afterwards and the achievements it had accomplished. I remember it having this out of this world style of plenum that was massive in volume size, so obnoxious looking that it was badass, to be honest. Whenever it showed up to the drags, people just knew it meant business. I think it had run an Autronic ECU at the time, injectors in the runners, injectors on the plenum, and all sorts of mad scientist ingenuity coming out of the BK stable. It took a little while to get on top of back then, I remember, 20 years ago, starting off with 8-second passes, then getting into the 7s. Remember, it's 400 cubic inch small block and 3,000 lb of weight. A little bit over 3,000 pounds of weight, and ended up eventually running 680s and 690s in the quarter, which is pretty phenomenal, to be honest, and quite a feat. Like I said before, there's no doubt in my mind that the BK Race Engine powered BWARND Cortina was the inspiration in many turbo street and strip builds that were to follow soon afterwards. At one stage, the BK BWARND Cortina sat first on the APSA top 10 list forever, with second place almost being half a second behind. Ahead of its time this thing was, and making stupid amounts of power for 20 years ago. There you go, guys. Just thought I'll share with you this iconic trend-setting drag car, Robert Campese's Ford Cortina BWARND, and the mastermind behind it all, Bill from BK Race Engines, and his early days of madness, but pure brilliance. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.